Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily market update. We do apologise for being slightly behind schedule today. Usually we drop an update just like this one around about 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening in the crypto space, but also the broader markets. We are going to be doing that, however, albeit slightly later, and it's going to be a pretty significant week in regards to the markets more broadly, as we have the Fed set to cut rates for the first time in a while and start the easing cycle. Now, we've spoken a lot on this channel about what that means for the dollar, what that means for markets more broadly in regards to the inverse correlation that the dollar strength has with assets more broadly. And you're about to see all of that come to fruition. It's really going to open up the floodgates. It's going to see liquidity cycles play out, so on and so forth. And certainly when you look at the markets, they're very much positioned for that liquidity and in a manner that leads you to believe, and there's confluence across multiple markets, that the markets are going to do well under what is to come. That's been our stance. We have destroyed the idiosyncrasy, and we call it an idiosyncrasy because it is exactly that every time the Fed pivot, the markets crash. Only 2 out of the past 14 times when the Fed have actually cut rates, the S&P has gone on and given a negative return 12 months from the first rate cut. And that is a fact. You can't argue with that. You know, facts are not feelings, I am afraid. So we are going to be covering what's to come in the week ahead. We're going to be looking at the Bitcoin price. We're going to be looking at a number of other things. The Dixie, of course, because that's a big kind of lever in regards to our plan taking place. Really, what I want to start is with what I am kind of shocked was completely underreported news yesterday and the day before. So this news came out on Friday. This is just some of the biggest news I think the cryptocurrency market certainly has had this year, but more broadly has had in a while. Probably since we had BlackRock entering the markets and actually facilitating a Bitcoin ETF. This is probably on a similar level. I don't think it's perhaps as big because of the ramifications that BlackRock facilitating that ETF have, but it's extremely significant because one reason that crypto has largely been locked out of the institutional investment system is due to a lack of regulatory clarity. And actually, if you look at that report that Ernst & Young did, they interviewed 277 of the largest asset managers in the world. Across the world, they all said one big hurdle was regulatory clarity. And on Friday, we had the SEC themselves come out and admit that cryptocurrencies aren't securities. This was so underreported. It was all over Twitter, but still it really wasn't all over Twitter. There was just the people that you'd expect to be talking about this, like Stuart Aldaltry and a few others talking about it. And in terms of YouTube, it was basically not covered. We were one of the few channels to actually cover this. But this is unbelievably monumental. And I want to start by reading this off again for anybody that, you know, hasn't quite or missed the news that we reported on yesterday and certainly that came out on Friday. As this court noted, and as the SEC reiterates, with its use of the term crypto asset securities, the SEC is not referring to the crypto asset itself as the security. Rather, as the SEC has consistently maintained, what a load of nonsense, since the very first crypto asset Howey case, the SEC litigated, the term is a shorthand. It's kind of like a euphemism or you know, it's unhelpful. While helpful as a shorthand reference, the security in this case is not simply the crypto asset, which is little more than alphanumeric cryptographic sequencing. The security, in this case, consists of the full set of contracts, expectations, and understandings entered on the sale and distribution of the crypto asset. Nevertheless, to avoid any confusion, the PAC no longer uses the shorthand term. The SEC regrets any confusion it may have invited in this regard. MTD order at 1920, as the court explained, the crypto asset is subject of the investment contract. Defendants appear to argue that even if the 10 crypto assets were offered and sold as securities during the ICO, they do not, and we already had clarity on this in regards to the secondary market, remain securities into perpetuity, so indefinitely. The SEC is not advancing this argument, of course. The SEC's allegations with respect to the 10 crypto assets at issue in secondary market are that their promotion and economic realities have not changed in any meaningful way under Howey. such that they continue to be offered and sold as investment contracts. This is just huge. And I can't believe how underreported this was yesterday. I saw maybe a handful of individuals on Twitter, like Stuart, like, Paul Grewal, the people who you'd expect reporting on it, but generally nobody was really commenting on this. And I don't know why, because this has massive ramifications for the industry as a whole. Obviously, on the back end of a lot of this, we saw Ripple, essentially, or Grayscale look to launch a Ripple product. We also have news that Robinhood have recently just listed XRP for the first time. Robinhood is one of those stocks that we were actually very bullish on for a long time. We've got lots and lots of stocks that we think are going to do spectacular. Remember, guys, I do have a Patreon meeting. This made our first target from this sort of bottom. If you want to learn how to essentially predict the markets with a better degree of accuracy than anybody else, do consider taking our market mastery course. I think there's still 80-90% off on that. I can't remember if it was 80 or 90%. We've got the when to sell course in the wings, which very much evolves a lot of the principles that we teach there, certainly in regards to trend following. But this is just monumental and huge, and it has really broad ramifications for the cryptocurrency market as a whole. This week, I believe, is going to be a pretty spectacular one. I think you've got lots of altcoins setting up in a very positive manner. I think when we look at Bitcoin, we've covered this to death, guys, really, haven't we? We've got 3 technical patterns that all predict higher prices. You've also got confluence in regards to the fact that you're in an uptrend, multiple other things. We did a great exercise on the live stream. We're going to be doing live streams 3-4 times a week now, guys, where we looked at other charts that were here at one point and went on higher and did exactly what Bitcoin did, put a toe above the all-time high and then consolidated in this sort of a fashion, pulled back in this sort of fashion before seeing that broader continuation. If you're not already a subscriber, guys, what are you doing? You are going to have the opportunity to be a subscriber to Allincrypto whilst he's under 100,000. This bull market will become one of the number one, if not the number one crypto channel. Mark my words on that, guys. We've got lots of people coming on board to help us do that. Vanex Semiconductors, Microsoft, you can see what we're highlighting here in regards to Bitcoin is here. Even something like the DAX. Obviously, the Nasdaq's a great example because there's multiple targets. Well, there's multiple times it's done this. Gold is a big macro version of this. Nifty 50, so on and so forth. Bitcoin's time really is coming, guys. It's just a case of sort of hanging in there. I think it's going to coincide with October. I think we're surviving, and September hasn't been as bad as people have thought. I think when you look at the altcoin market, there's lots of confluence in regards to patterns there setting up. We're going to be bringing you lots of that content in the week ahead. And let's talk about the week ahead. Let's move on to that now. So stick to the plan, guys, when it comes to Bitcoin. It really is just a case of hanging in there. When we look at the week ahead, obviously Wednesday is the most significant day because you have the Fed rate decision. The expectation is a 25 basis point, so 0.25%. But many other central banks, Europe lowered rates again by 25 basis points. I think they're on the 4 mark. The Fed are behind, and they're going to essentially goose the economy, which is going to pump global liquidity, which is going to see everything that we talk about come to fruition. And the expectations are now 50-50 in regards to 25 or a 50. We had lots of people we always get the clowns, but they always get proven wrong and then just disappear. And that's unfortunately the game of, I guess, being in the, putting yourself out there publicly, which we totally accept and embrace, by the way. But 50 basis points may be coming. This is going to lean on the Dixie. Remember, we've got all that confluence in regards to the dollar coming lower, which ultimately sees the markets do very well. There's been an element of dollar weakness in every single bull market crypto's had. If we put on the BLX, the Brave New Liquid Coin Index, every bull market, dollar weakness, dollar weakness, dollar weakness. And you're about to see that dollar weakness, and we've got a number of things that confluence with that in regard to the dollar. Not only fundamentally do interest rates lead the dollar, of course that's fundamentally the case, isn't it? If there's a higher interest rate on debt that's out there, you need to find more dollars to pay it, which increases the demand to more of a degree than other currencies, and now there's then that unwinding of it. And in the same way the dollar gained strength when they were hiking rates because they have a larger debt market, the dollar is going to lose strength. And then, of course, there's a crossover with crypto. So the beautiful thing about what we do here on Allincrypto is we cross-analyze the markets, and we use that to help us derive a view on things. So we do apologize for the slightly later video. However, it's a great time we've got ahead of us. And that news out of the SEC is monumental. It's going to be a big week. We'll keep you up to date on all of it. What we are likely going to do is actually what we can do, guys, if you want to, and let me know in the comment section, is we can see the rate decisioning together on live on YouTube. So that's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you enjoyed the content, likes, appreciate it as a comment, and I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next.